Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. We are coming live to you from Wisconsin, and I'm cold, man. I'm not a happy camper. I can't wait to get back home. However, what's important in life, man, happy wife, happy life, as they say. She's hanging out with her mom right now. They were wrapping presents. They're watching movies. We're having a good time. This is the things your business should afford you. You should be able to get away, and Floor Academy wants to help you do that. We have an awesome guest, returning guest, Josh Hansman, with us. And he's been on a couple of times. The last time he was on, he talked about what makes a good employee. And man, was that a great discussion. I know a bunch of owners found that really, really useful, and they actually had their employees listen to it. He's been on before, and Josh talked about how, man, I've been an owner before. I don't want to do it. It's not for me. I just want to be an employee. We're going to get into it, but Josh's boss came to him with a proposition that he couldn't refuse. And Josh owns 50 Grit Flooring now. And it came with a store and a team. And essentially, the people he worked for are now under him, and he's the guy. So we're going to talk about what that transition's been like, the struggles he's having, how it's worked with, does the team respect him? Is there things that he needs to learn? Where are the struggles at? What kind of skill sets apply? What skill sets does he need to learn? But I think it's really interesting in that there's just been a huge shift, and that the skill set you need for the floor is not the skill set you need to run the business. But in order to grow, we have to get uncomfortable. And so Josh was against getting uncomfortable, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, maybe. And, things change. We evolve, right? And then we look for new things. So he was apparently ready to get uncomfortable and start growing. So we're going to dig into that. Before we get going, I want to let you know, Floor Academy is your source to learn how to take yourself from owning a job to owning an asset, being able to run a business successfully. And that's what these discussions here every Wednesday are for. Tune in. Get some hints, tips, tricks, insights from other business owners that are doing it well within your own industry, things that you can actively apply to your business to help move it forward in a positive direction. If you go do the work, I guarantee you will get results. Most people will listen, they'll read the books, they'll listen to the podcast or other podcasts. They don't take any action. You have to go do the work, and you'll see the results. It's the work that will separate you from everybody else. So, all that being said, welcome back, Josh. Happy to have you. Give us that quick introduction again, and let us know who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of dive into 50 Grit Flooring.
So, all right, I'm Josh Hansman. Been doing floors 20 years. I come from a construction background, doing framing, drywalling. And then I just kind of fell into floors. I've worked for a few different companies. And then I went on my own for a little while, but on my own was me with one other guy where we just did everything. And then I got scared being on my own because I didn't have a fallback plan. If one of us got hurt, then we just knew we were in trouble. We didn't know what we'd do. We just kind of hoped that nobody got hurt and we'd be able to keep working. And it scared me. So then I went and joined a larger company called Cincinnati Floor and Window Covering. And I worked there for 10 years. And from the beginning, it was always his plan that I would take over the company. And it was always my plan that I wouldn't. And then the time came, and here I am now with 50 Grit Flooring. So, it's been a wild ride. Past 6 months. Actually, it started 9 months ago, but 6 months, 50 Grit Flooring has been on open as 50 Grit Flooring. So
Okay, so there's a little
Where you
transition
want?
period. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
so
where,
let's start, right? So what was the actual proposition made to you, right? He's always kind of wanted to hand this over to you, it sounds like. You were
yeah.
very resistant, but something's changed. So how did it even come about, right? I'm done. I just want to quit. I'm moving on in life. What transpired to even get this rolling and you were like, oh, fine, like I'll do it.
It was out of the blue. I mean, it was nowhere. He just celebrated 20 years in business as Cincinnati Floor and Window Covering, and we all went out to eat. Took us to a nice restaurant. Like he took everybody on the team out, and we all like gave speeches. And he sat there and talked about how he was in it for another 5 years. And I've worked there 10 years, and I think it was always around 5 to 7 years that he was going to retire. Even 10 years ago, it was still 5 years from now. So, it was all stuff we've already all heard before, and nobody was worried. And then it was just a couple weeks after the 20th anniversary, he came to me and said, "Hey, I have a proposition. I want to retire, and I want you to start your own business, and I want to make this happen in 90 days." And I don't know about starting a business, but his business is not necessarily a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking around 2 million in sales, and it's like, I see all the subs that we got, office staff and vehicles coming and going, supplies, and it's like, man, I'm not a smart guy, but I don't think this 90 days is the way you do this. Like, there's got to be some type of transition period where people have to do training and move roles and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
no, 90 days. We're going to do this in 90 days. So,
Okay.
And he's like, I don't expect you to give me an answer right now, but in order to make this work in 90 days, you got to give me an answer like within the next week.
Okay. Okay.
I'm like, well, damn it. So, so that's how that all hit me. And, it just came time to put up or shut up. I mean, I knew where I was as an installer, and I knew that as a business owner, I could do more.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like it was my time to do it. I was, kind of hesitant, like feeling like I'm being forced to do it. But sometimes if you're not pushed, you're not going to get in the pool, right? So
That's yes. You sometimes you got to get pushed out of your comfort zone, right? I think that's what he
yes,
was doing. What'd your wife have to say about it?
indifferent. She still like from day one, she's like, if this is what you want to do, if then do it. She's like, like, I'm not stopping you, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
telling you to do it. Like she's just been indifferent. So,
Okay.
um,
So in
eh,
90
eh,
days, he wanted to hand you a company. Go ahead. If you have something, go ahead.
so with my wife, she just got her real estate license around that same time, and I feel like me trying to burden her with what I'm doing was kind of stealing from her. And it's like, if you want to just let me do this and not, join up and be part of it, and I understand that because you're doing your thing right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I got to respect that. So I didn't really try to pressure her to get a definite answer out of her or anything.
Okay.
She was going through, you know, transitions as well. So
Yeah. No,
don't
she's got her own business to run, man. Being a real estate agent's no cakewalk.
yeah, and we find that out. So
You guys are
and
growing
that's
together.
yeah, we're growing together. She's growing that way, and I'm growing this way. So it's fun.
Okay. So he's handed you a company. He wants to transition it in 90 days. What was the transition that needed to take place? Obviously, you've started 50 Gert Flooring and he's closed down what he had. But was there a transfer of assets? Do you did everything get handed over? Is there a loan or some kind of repayment terms? Like, what happened here? How does this structured for you, if you don't mind sharing?
So my background, personal financials, not good. Like, I don't have good credit. I knew that I couldn't go get a loan to do this, and I'm like, I tell him all that. I'm like, like, you're picking the wrong guy to try to get a bunch of money from to buy all this from you. And he's like, I understand, but he's like, we're going to make it happen, and we're still going to stay on track for the 90 days. And the idea would be that I was starting a brand new company, and that his company was going, he's got plans to shut it down at the end of the year. I think he's on track for that still. But the idea that his company would still be around while my company opened, that way we could finish the jobs that were on the books. And one of the reasons he really wanted that time frame was because he was at a point where he wasn't under any major contracts with like new homes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was kind of at a stalemate right there, was kind of stalled. So he saw that as an opening where it wasn't too busy and that we could make a transition while there was nothing open. The proposition came, since I knew I couldn't get a loan. He's like, I'll give you a personal loan and we'll just work that in, and you make me monthly payments. And then within that 90 days, I think he still went for about 30 days still collecting jobs for the former company, Cincinnati Floor and Window Covering. But then when it got down to 60 days left, he started collecting jobs for 50 grit flooring.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason that we were switching and not keeping the same company, I feel like was his baby, and he wants me to have my own baby, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that Cincinnati Floor and Window Covering was also carpet, tile, and window blinds. And we were dropping all that. So 50 grit flooring is nothing but hardwood and luxury vinyl. Okay. And that's it. So with when we got down to 60 days, he started we did go to the bank. We opened a small checking account, and then with the 60 days, all the deposits started going into that checking account to build up a cash flow. And within that 60 days time, we had enough cash flow generated that we could hit the ground running and basically started it from nothing.
Okay.
Assets, everything that he had from that company was sold to me on a personal loan.
Mm-hmm.
We got enough machines to have 3 crews sanding, 3 vans. The warehouse, we rent the warehouse space. That's about 2,000 square feet. The showroom in it, all the samples in it, which adds up to a lot of money. All the racks, all the like raw material that's in there, leftover wood, all the office supplies, desks, computers, systems, phone systems. So we had it, and we started to make a list, and then he was like, let's just do this much and just call it that. And I went through that list, and it was really close. The amount he asked for did not quite make it up in total assets, but I think that I was content with it because there's the good faith involved in it. Mm-hmm. The fact that all the contacts are coming with it, and just the relationships that he's built with that company for so long, all just transferred over. So
yeah,
we were both happy with that part.
Okay, and because you kept the phone number, right? So everybody that's calling 50 grit they were calling Cincinnati before.
Yes, the system that we had up was a 2-line phone, so he just took line 2 and transferred that over to 50 grit flooring. So, and line 2 was just the backup line. If line 1 had somebody on it, line 2 was still open. So, yes, same phone number. And once that company's gone, then that line one will become my line two.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
same phone number. The other amazing part of it is that he agreed to stay on as a salesman for 2 years.
Okay.
Um, you don't get opportunities like this.
Not usually, no.
No.
It's a sweet deal, man. When you first told me, I'm really excited for you, and I know you're nervous,
Um,
but I can't. But I get that too. Like I get it.
yes. So the salesman's there. We got two girls in the office that are part time, and they both stayed on. They know all the systems, so that's all up and running, and they know what's going on.
Hmm.
All the installers, nobody nobody blinked. Everybody's like, Matt or Josh, we don't care. Yeah, we
Okay.
got a job. Great. We're going. Are we doing anything different? I'm like, yeah, we're not hanging blinds anymore. And they're like, that's great.
Okay.
So
Well, so you said you're cutting out blinds, you're cutting out carpet, but you're gonna
and tile.
and tile, right? So you're keeping the LVP and the hardwood. So how does that change your showroom for you? Right, a bunch of racks got tossed out, I'm assuming.
Um, well, yeah. Oh man. So the deal gets better. Because we did have two warehouses, because we had a carpet warehouse and a warehouse. So we were sitting around 4,000 square feet. And we're like, since we're cutting out carpet, we don't need that second warehouse. One of our subs that we sub carpet to sometimes,
Hmm.
they came through and we're like, we're getting rid of this warehouse. We don't know if you'd like some of the samples that are in it. So you can take it. And they're like, we want the warehouse.
Okay.
They're like they had a store, and pre-COVID they had a store, and then when COVID hit, they kind of moved out of the store, was working from home, and they're like, we just can't work from our home no more. There's no difference between work and home. It's
Hmm.
all running together. We need to shop again. So it you know I don't know how things fell together that perfect. They took that warehouse. We never even put a door back up between the two warehouses. So our warehouses are still connected. I have a forklift. They have a pole truck. Sometimes they have to use my forklift. We share a dumpster,
Hmm.
and we share space sometimes. So that relationship was amazing. They ended up taking all the carpet samples that we had, or what they wanted, and I think we had two showrooms. Um, our, the company that we have is a little different because we're a mobile shopper. Our
Okay.
showroom sees people maybe, oh, man, I think since I've been there 6 months, we might have had four people come through the showroom by appointment only.
Yeah.
So our showroom never did get very much. And we had a showroom in each warehouse, and one of them was like the stuff that we don't show as much, that we're basically a place to move it from the van for the mobile shopping aspect of it. So we had to move a couple racks back and forth. So our showroom was all hardwood now and LVP, and so it worked out.
Okay.
So yeah, we got a full showroom of just hardwood samples now.
Hey, whatever works, man. And I'm sure you'll get around to making some fancy stuff to put in there. But
We got some.
what do you're still on the tools, and that's what you're passionate about. So how is that transition gone, right? How much time are you spending on the floor versus how much time are you spending in the office now?
Um, I'm not spending any time in the office.
Okay.
Like, my time in the office is just passing through, and I will sit down. They ask me a bunch of questions. I say yes or no. A lot of times I say, well, what do you think? And I get their opinion, and then I'm like, well, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that then. Um, but as far as like being in the office and doing stuff, we keep talking that I need to set time on my schedule to spend at least 4 hours in the office so I can get more familiar with things.
Hmm.
100% agree. But right now, my time's out in the field, and I've learned to kind of like step back. Instead of doing all the work, I'm really trying to watch the guys work.
Hmm.
Um, and I've always thought like the boss, the supervisor was kind of a prick doing that. It's like, oh yeah, he's taking the easy route and he's just standing
Mm,
around doing nothing while we're
nope.
working. But I'm realizing like the past week, I've had three guys with me. My other lead guy is on vacation for Christmas. So I got three guys with me and I'm trying to watch all three guys. And, if I grab something and start working, then I can't watch all three. So I've kind of learned to just kind of watch them and kind of pass the reins a little bit more and just
Hmm.
let them go. Even if they do it wrong, I can tell them what they did wrong and just let them do it so they learn. It's kind of a weird difference because I like doing everything myself. So it's kind of tough to stand back and let them do it, but it's working.
Well, I think this is the usual trap, right? This is where most owner operators, most installers get caught up as craftsmen. Is, well, you're not going to do it as good as me. Move, right? I got to do it myself if I want it done right. And in order to truly have a business, like, you have to let go. You have to step back and you have to give people the autonomy to succeed on their own. You have to give them the skill sets, right? You're better off spending your time training them to be successful and how to independently do critical thinking and solve problems on their own, as opposed to always stepping in and fixing it, right? Like you said, like, I have
Yeah.
to go in and say, hey, you kind of messed this up. Here's what I would do. And you're stepping back and letting them fix it on their own instead of fixing it for them. And,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I had days when I had an apprentice, and man, there were days I'd be on the phone 3 hours out of 8 hours. And it was like, hey man, I need you to go do this. And I'd step outside, I'd take the phone call and deal with it. And I understand what you're saying. Like, as the employee, I used to have that chip on my shoulder. I had that attitude. I'm like, man, that guy's a prick. Like, he's just standing around telling us what to do on his phone all day. Except now what I realize is, if that phone call doesn't happen, we don't work next week. We don't work in 2 months, right? We're not getting materials. And I would tell my guys, I was like, where do you think all the stuff from the truck goes at night, right? You loaded it up yesterday full of trash. It's empty today. Where'd that all go? Like, I'm still working after you get to go home and clock out, right? So you may think I'm just stepping back and doing all this stuff where it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but it doesn't function without me. But I think that's where some transparency comes in, and I like being open and honest with them, right? Like, look, it may not look like I'm working, but I'm doing many, many things to keep us all going right now. And I got to go home and I still work, and you're hanging out with your family.
Yeah.
I don't get that yet. And so I think having those
Yeah.
conversations goes a long way in building that culture and understanding of, hey, we all have a part to play. So this is yours for now, but maybe one day you can move up to like what I'm doing, right? This is the path to get to being this guy.
Yeah. And I realize that if I want to spend 4 hours in the office,
Hmm.
somebody has to do what I'm doing. And they have to do it up to my standards
Yes.
now too. So yeah, I gotta watch them to make sure that they're there and not cutting corners.
Hmm. How is
That's
that?
tough.
How has that changed? Right, because Josh has high standards. I know that. Like, you have super high standards for what you will consider a finished product on a wood floor. Were your standards the standards of the company before, or have the standards had to shift now that it's 50 grit and the guys are like, oh, come on, man, you're too picky?
No, no, the standards were always the same.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons that made this transition really easier is that I've always assumed extra roles as an employee. Um, if we had difficult customers, I had to go calm them down and uh, take care of that situation. If we
Hmm.
had subs that didn't do something right, I would have to go behind them and clean them up. And even the subs that I had to clean up behind, they still respected me and they knew what my standards were. And I never had an issue where anybody I thought I was stuck up about having high standards. That they are.
Hmm.
It was more of a respect thing that I've always at least felt like I got from people. Maybe they
Okay.
maybe they were good at faking it, but
So have there been any issues? Is the team struggling with the adaptation of Josh is no longer like the team lead? He's the boss now.
um, I don't think anything felt different. I'm still the team lead. Um, except like I have the ability to buy lunch sometimes now. So
Okay.
I feel like that's the difference. So,
But I like
but
no negative feedback, no squabbles, no anybody being like, "Oh, you're just an a-hole now that you're like like you keep saying it was seamless and I like it sounds great, but like you said, right? Like to have everything kind of fall in place the way it has is not realistic. It's almost it's a fairy tale.
yeah, it is, and that's kind of how it feels. Like for a while there, I kept like thinking like, when am I going to wake up from this? Because this ain't really happening. But I got past that now. If people are saying stuff negative, they're doing a real good job keeping it behind my back. But um, I work with we try to rotate the crews so it's not the same two people that are together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like every time I work with somebody they come to me and say, so and so has been saying this, or they think this about that person, and I would think my guys would tell on somebody if they said something bad about me, and I haven't heard anything yet. So
Okay, that's awesome.
it's possible, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard it. They're good at hiding it, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, and then it sounds like the office ladies are doing their thing, and you kind of give them enough autonomy to operate on their own without you, and you're taking their input and letting them really take ownership of what's going on in there, and then you'll swing through in the morning and they're saying, hey, we need this, that, and the other thing, and you're like, what do you, like you said, right, what do you think? And then you're getting their opinions and letting them kind of own that space. So is that helping you feel like you have to be in the office less, or is your previous boss, your salesman, now telling you like, hey, you need to step up and really tell them what to do?
It's a little bit of both. They have their job and I have my job. They don't tell me how to do my job. I don't feel like I should tell them how to do their job unless something ain't working right.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, everything they do is working right. So, until it becomes a problem, it's not, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to think about it, but we try to be proactive, and we're trying to implement systems. And that's really, they don't really ask me about the daily chores, what they know they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's systems that we're trying to implement and change what was there. Is that what they ask me about, like with changes that are coming?
Okay. I like it. So what are you changing that wasn't there before? What kind of systems are you trying to implement?
So that's another thing that where it seems seamless, because as a, I don't know if you want to say an overachiever, before as an employee, I was still implementing new systems into the company. We always did calendars, like a calendar that stayed in the office that you had to come to the office to check to see what you were doing. And I'm the one that changed that to a Google Calendar, and then tried to get a lot of people to have it on their phones. All of our full-time guys have it on their phones, so that way they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
We have some subs that prefer to come to the office to pick up their paperwork when they don't have to. So that's something that I changed already as an employee before I even came on. But we're just trying to still take it to the next level. And one of the things for the New Year's is to get a full software that will help to mainstream all the jobs and scheduling, ordering, and everything. So,
okay. So are you trying to get rid of the physical board that you like write everything up on?
we already did. We did that when I
Man.
was an employee.
You're crazy.
Um, so we still have everything on paper and in the office that's
Mm-hmm.
on paper, but then
Yeah.
there's also a digital, and we just did it all through Google, and it's all just transferred to Google Calendar. So
Yeah. Oh, I live by my
my
phone. I'm with you, dude. It's so much easier to have it on my phone. But if I personally, I
yes,
feel like if I don't have that physical one, it just having it physically written down somewhere, like the act of it helps get it out of my head. Like when I'm booked 8, 10 weeks out, even though
yes,
it's in the phone, there's something about being able to see it all in one place. Because even on the Google Calendar, like you have to click on a day and you can only see that day. Like to see
yeah.
it, to sometimes seeing it all laid out helps me. So I'd be interested to see what happens like 6 months, a year down the road as things kind of happen. You're in the office more. If you go back and you're like, I don't know, I kind of want that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's there. I mean we have a permanent iPad in the office that has the Google Calendar on it.
Hmm.
So it is permanent there too, but then everybody else also has it. And the reason we have the one in the office is because there's a couple guys that old dogs that refuse to learn new tricks, and they have to come to the office to look at the iPad at the office, and
That's
it's like
funny.
and then they have to pick up the paperwork and take the paperwork with them. And I'm like, if you download this, you can look at the paperwork the night before, so you're mentally prepared what you're coming into the next day. And nah. So, all right.
I,
So
hey, different strokes for different folks, man. I get it. Well, let's see. I mean, what else is going on? What's been like one of the biggest struggles for you so far in this transition of a skill set that you are realizing you're lacking in? You're like,
nothing. I mean, it's really been amazing. Um, so one of the challenges that I could have had is being a brand new company, opening up accounts with our all of our manufacturers.
mm-hmm.
Um, being a brand new company, it's kind of hard to get an account set up. So uh, especially if they looked at my personal financial, it was really hard. But we had our main one where we buy all of our wood from. They gave us a small line of credit to work with out of good faith because my former boss was still part of it, and they said based on relations with him alone, they're willing to give me a small line of credit.
Mm-hmm.
And we ride that thing on the edge. Like we max it out, seems like every week, and we pay it weekly. And there's a lot of times that we go over, and they've never said anything, but we pay it every week, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. But then, like our other companies, like the big ones, Mannington, Shaw, like the big companies,
Yeah.
we can't. We never even tried to get a line of credit with them yet. But my former boss can still order the material through the other company,
Yeah.
and I can just get it from him. Um, he, you know, rightfully so, he puts a margin on it because it's going through that. But I understand that, and that gives me incentive to, get my name on that, and then that way that could become mine.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that would have been a challenge, but the way we did this and the way it was set up and the way it was handed over to me, like that hasn't been a problem yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're set. We were just waiting until the first of the year till we had 6 months in before we even approached the bigger places, and then that way we can have at least some kind of history to say, hey, look, this is what we've done. This is our projections of what we're going to do. Give us something. And
Yeah.
I don't see it being a problem with what we've done so far in 6 months. We should be fine.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, you have the sales history with them prior, right? It's kind of the same company, just under a different name. It's the same space. I don't think you should have issues swapping the account over to a new name. Personally, they lost one client, they're gaining another that should do roughly the same amount of business. So
It and that's what you said too. That's the other part is swapping accounts. We've had so many times to do that. Our tax guy, um, he's been with the other company for 20 years since day
Mm-hmm.
one. So like he already knows everything, and he just sure like yeah, we'll switch it over. And so I get to meet with him every now and then. He tries to set us up and tell us what we're doing. IT guy, he came right over. Um, One of the amazing things was workman's comp. Since that other company was dissolving and it was just going to be the owner and that was it,
Mm-hmm.
they let me transfer his workman's comp over to my company.
Okay.
So, I mean, every single thing that we hit was just seamless so far. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. I'm going to interrupt us for 1 second here, and then
Yeah.
we'll get right back into it. Not all foam. Whoa, man, struggling today. Not all foam boards are. Can you read, Kyle? You can do this, man. Now everyone's paying attention to the advertisement. I better nail it on the third time. Not all foam boards have the high performance that GoBoard does. Johns Manville has been producing rigid foam boards for decades for commercial roofs. What does this mean for flooring and shower applications if they aren't exposed to the same harsh elements that a roof is? If it's good enough for a commercial roof, then it's even better for your flooring, countertop, or shower project, especially at a reasonable price. Visit www.jm.com/GoBoard for more information. Sorry, GoBoard. Sorry, Shauna. I'll get better. It's only the second time I've done this one. We got like 11 more to go. I'll get it by the end, I promise. So everything's been pretty seamless. The accounts are getting moved over. You're getting set up. You're having meetings with the financial people. It really seems like, look, your podcast about what it takes to be a great employee really goes well with the podcast I recorded or just a couple weeks back that came out with Dan Wall, where we're talking about like instilling an owner's mentality. And that's what you've always had. You just didn't want the responsibility. Let's be honest, right? Like,
I already had the responsibility. I assumed the position before I had the position.
yes, but you didn't have all of it, right? But I think
Right.
I think your boss was grooming you and you were just ignoring it. Like,
Yes. Um, so one of the big things that I realized has happened is that I was in a BNI group. Um, he put me in a BNI group when I joined. I think I have 9 years. I've been with him for 10 years. I've been in this BNI group for nine. And as soon as this transition started to happen, I went. It was really cool how I flipped in that group because before when I was in that group, I was going every week asking for people to give me work. And then once that transition started going on, I was going to that meeting and looking around the group and like, I need your help. I need your help. We had a marketing person in there, and I'm like, I'm going to need shirts. I'm going to need jackets. I'm going to need hats. An attorney, because we did write up a contract
mhm.
between me and the boss, and I'm like, I'm going to need you to review this for me and look at it. There's a banker in there that I'm working with right now for an SBA loan, and he's that one has been really amazing because he's like, we don't care anything about your past. He's like, our bank, we're set up on really personal networking and how well we know you. And he's like, I've known you for 9 years. And I'm like,
Okay.
perfect. I'm like, that's awesome. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of people in that group that part really flipped. And I think that was one of the weird things that I realized that I was being groomed from the beginning without even realizing it because how that group flipped. And I went from being somebody that, needed everybody to somebody that wanted to use everybody else. That was fun.
Well, there's a reason that BNI says givers gain.
Yes.
So you have stopped being a taker, and now that you are a giver, I bet you that relationship with that group and not that you weren't probably giving leads before, right? Like it's a referral group. You wouldn't still be in it after 9 years if you weren't doing what you needed to do. But
Yeah.
the mindset has shifted for you of oh, it's mine now. I have to take care of it. So how do I take care of
Well,
these people and they'll take care of me?
it's not even that I wanted to take care of those people. Is that those people were people that I had relationships with and I trusted,
Hmm.
and I needed their resources. So
Well, and
it was,
that's
and I had a whole room of like everybody that I needed right there in front of me. I'm like, this is awesome.
yeah. Now, well, and that's the other aspect of it. You do business with people you know, like, and trust. So I did a BNI group. I think they can be really, really useful. Now, I started
Well,
it. I did one that was starting from the very beginning. So we had to get all the founding members and get it going, and it's still going. It's better than when I left it. I think they can be really, really useful. But I would go, like, if I went to do it again, I would go interview a minimum of 3 groups and
yeah,
participate in their meetings and see what they're about, because you're going to find a culture you really like and you fit well into. And you got to fit with the people, you got to fit with their culture that they've established, but you also got to see what they're doing business wise, because that was our biggest thing. Was, for me, it looked like it turned into coffee break time, and a lot of the people that helped found the group were just showing up to like hang out and chat, and I was missing working on projects as the owner. Like, I had
right.
to take an hour and a half out of my morning, which by the time I drove there plus drove to the job site, I'm already out 2.5 hours of my day. And so I was starting projects later than I wanted to. And like, I needed to go there and be productive, and other people wanted to be there and just hang out and chat. And I was like, I gave it a year, maybe a little over a year. And I was just like, this isn't working. Like, I'm out of here. I can't do it, guys. And
Well,
so,
my group is now, we are now an independent networking group. We are no longer a BNI group.
okay.
We and we've grown by doing that. And we did that at the same time that my transition was going on.
Interesting. Okay.
The group transitioned also.
So
And
are you allowing more than one business category then? Are you allowing more than one business in each category, or did you keep that rule?
yeah, that rule's still there, of
Okay.
course. I mean, we got multiple insurance people, but they all are
You're,
different branches of insurance.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
not a problem at all.
I know that's
I
one
would
of
let another hardwood guy in the group if they wanted to, just so I'd have somebody to hang out with.
Oh man, that's funny. You just got to go get a carpet guy now.
Well, I got a carpet guy. He's in the warehouse right next to us,
Well,
and we use
okay.
them too.
Yeah.
Like we actually go to jobs and we'll do the estimate and just hand them the work and be like, we got some carpet for you here.
Well, so
So
are you still technically subbing that out then? Because they were your sub before. So are you still like just bidding the carpet but giving them the sale of the carpet and the labor and taking a cut, or how's that working?
um, that's a deal between the salesman and them. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I know that if he's at the job and they want carpet, then he'll go ahead and measure it and then give them the measurements. We got a really good long relationship with them, so
I
I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, it's your business. I think you better know what's going on there.
I'm,
You got some blind spots, apparently.
oh yeah, there's a lot of blind spots.
So, so let's talk about those, right? Like, what are the things you're finding that you need to be paying attention to, and you're not having the time or finding the time yet, or you can see creating issues down the road?
So the biggest issue I have is the clock ticking on my salesman, because he's gave me 2 years, and so I'm already down to a year and 6 months. Once he leaves, filling that position is going to be the hardest spot. That'll be my true test, is filling the salesman role. Um, there's some possibilities out there. Like I know of some different directions I can go. Um, but I really just, I don't know. I'm not saying I put it off yet, but I know I got some time still. So
And that's, you don't
not a
want
lot.
to, you don't want to become the salesman.
No,
Okay.
no, no. Um, I could do some sales, but I don't think I want to do that full time. I like being out doing the work too much still.
Hmm. So I mean,
That's my strong spot.
so it sounds like you need somebody to become the salesman and kind of manage the office for you because you want to stay on the tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
So
yeah, the administration, the girls in the office, they can run the office. Um, and so right now the salesman, former owner, he's doing scheduling too. Like we meet on Wednesdays and we set up the schedules, but then he sets all the dates and confirms everything. So he's also doing sales estimates and scheduling.
hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll find somebody to do all of that, but
Yeah, you might be
I,
surprised.
yeah, I know. I don't know. Everything else is just fell in line. I'm just waiting for that one to fall.
Well, so that would be my question. Do you think there's somebody that's currently employed there that maybe wants to get out of the field and would be good at that position? And then you could find somebody new to bring in and start training on the tools.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. That's like I said, I got a few different possibilities. That's one option, and then there's another option to get somebody that maybe is from another company that don't want to, like another company that wants to shut down and they don't want to do floors anymore. They just want to
Hmm.
do the sailing sell part.
Yeah.
So there's options out there.
Okay. So I mean, what's next? Are you gonna grow it past 2 million? Do you want to stay pretty steady? What do you want to do here?
Well, yeah, we're not. So dropping the carpet and the tile and the blinds, we're not going to hit 2 million. I don't. We don't have the capacity to do that at this point.
Hmm.
So I feel like with what we've done in the first 6 months, um, it's a snowball rolling downhill, and it's picking up speed, and it's already wanting to grow. And if I don't figure out a way to get more employees and grow it, it's going to just it's inevitable. I don't think I can stop it. And you know, I don't know. I take a lot of credit for that because of the name that I put out there before I took over.
Hmm.
People know me, and I worked with the contractors whenever I was on the job. I'd always talk to them and just socialize with them and explain to them everything that I was doing, and just you know, and I set up good relations, and everybody already knows me and trusts me. So
Hmm. Hmm.
it's going to happen.
Okay. So what is that? You can take it. You can grow it. Um, how has the transition of getting rid of stuff, like, is there enough work you feel like you can pick up that much hardwood and LVP? I mean, LVP is huge, right? Like that work's kind of easy to come by, but the hardwood
Yep.
stuff to keep those guys busy. Yeah, you're outside of Cincinnati, you're in the right area to at least have lots of hardwood work.
Yes.
But it's a continuing thing. It's still growing. People are actively seeking it.
Yeah. So right now on the schedule, we've since day one we've stayed 6 to 8 weeks out on scheduling, and we actually dropped a couple of our contractors and designers when we first made this transition. We're like, we know we can't handle everything that we got now, so we dropped a couple contractors, couple designers that we didn't, that just to help lighten our load. And we have picked up, I would say there's probably four more major contractors out there that are waiting for us to call and say, hey, we're ready to come do your work. And at this point right now, we can't make that call because we don't have enough people to do the work.
Okay. So
On top of the amount of residential work that's also coming in just
Mhm.
from referrals. And The other amazing part about I've talked about this before in the past is that the former company, even 50 Grit Flooring now, we are 100% referral based. We don't do any marketing, and so when we go to a job, we come in really heavily referred, and majority of the time we are the only estimate that the people are getting just because the referrals are so strong.
Hmm.
So that part's been really fortunate too.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, well, you're stepping
nonstop.
into something like you helped build a company for half of its life, but you
Yeah.
were you were the face of that company, and so the fact that it's 50 Grit now, it doesn't. Josh is going to take care of it. Don't worry, right? So I guess that would be my question for you: is how do you get people to not want Josh there now because Josh can't be there on everyone?
Um, Trust and the relationships that I built with people is that if I tell them, hey, like, I don't think I'll be the one on your job, but we're going to take care of you,
Hmm.
that they just believe me and trust me. Um, and I haven't had a problem yet. We've had a few customers that are like, no, you have to come, and we just tell them, we're like, no, you're hiring the company. You're not hiring me.
Hmm.
You're hiring the company. And we went through that when I was an employee too. So that's already been established.
No, but that's great, right? That makes it so much easier because I think that's a huge problem that a lot of owner operators face. Is I get that. Well, Kyle, like I go out, I bid something. Who's going to do it? Well, I'm the guy, right? Like I can pitch that right now. I'm the guy. But if I want to grow the company, it's I'm going to come out. I'll supervise. I'll check in. But I've trained these guys. Like they're mine. I trust
Yep.
them explicitly, and I can sell it that way and still do a really great job. I think a lot of guys and gals get scared, and they don't want to tell the customer no, they're not going to do it. And look, if you trust the employees you've trained, you've got to tell your clients. You got to believe in your team and sell it, right? There's nothing wrong with telling them like, look, I'm sorry, but you're not hiring Josh or Kyle anymore. You're hiring 50 Grit. You're hiring Illustrious Hardwoods. You're hiring whatever X and X company to do the project, and this is how it's going to get done. And they will do it with the utmost professionalism, by the book, and knock it out of the park. And just sell it that way. You just change your language a little bit in your sales presentation, and I think you'll be A-okay and not have any problems with it. You got to set that expectation up front, like you said, Josh.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we do that. That's what we do, and it's nice when it's not me they ask for it. Like the other lead guy, Eugene. We've had customers say, like, can we get Eugene to come back to the job? They'll
Awesome.
request him, and like that is awesome. That's even better than them requesting me because
Hmm.
then that sets him up, makes him feel good, lets him know that he did a good job, and he's going in with just that respect and trust that the customer already has on him. So
Definitely.
that's fun. I like that part a lot.
That's very cool. Are you having the lead guys ask for reviews when they finish up?
That's one of the new things that we started to implement. We are like, so after the job gets finished, we're starting a thing where the office will call them, and before they run a credit card, they just give them a quick survey of how each part of the job went.
Okay.
So, and it's a 1 through 5, and one of them we did, the crew already got a 6. So
Right on. There
it's
you
pretty
go.
nice. 5 on every other category, but a 6 for the install crew.
Hey, perfect. I would say have like if Eugene's out on a job, man, and he finishes it up, I'd have him ask for the review and say like if have him be able to tell them like, hey, if you mention me specifically in the review, I get a $10 gas card. And then
That's something that we are planning on implementing, doing some kind of a bonus card, a gift card for positive reviews coming back. Yeah.
because I know like I've changed when I go out, like I ask for the review because I need the company to get the reviews, right? It's going to help your Google profile, it helps your Facebook profile, all this stuff. But like I specifically tell my clients, do not mention my name. Say Illustrious Hardwood, say the crew, say
Yeah.
I like to keep it generic because if I choose to grow the company, I don't want people to be like, well, every review's about Kyle. I need Kyle. I don't want them to want me. I want them to want the company. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing, like you're already kind of in that position, but I would say having the lead guys ask for the review while they're there. And then people forget, right? They say they're going to do it, but then they don't. So you already have a built-in redundancy with the office staff calling, following up. Hey, can you do, how is the crew? How is this experience? Da, da, da. Hey, would you mind leaving us a review? Oh yeah. Eugene asked me to do it. Let me go do that now. So it's kind of like built in, but then if the lead guys are asking and they're trying to get quoted in, it just gives people that, hey, there's Eugene on this one, there's Josh on this one, there's Bob on this one. Like,
Yeah.
I want that guy. And I think that's going to be a way to help differentiate you and make you able to step back more, because it's not dependent on you, right? It's 50 grit flooring that's successful with all of these other people, as opposed to it's Josh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And I really like, I like not, I like all the reasons you said, but also it makes me feel good knowing that they're getting their name mentioned above mine. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, I still take responsibility that they got there because, I feel like I had a part in making them get there, or getting them there, training them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
that part's awesome.
they should get recognized, right? They went out and did the work. Why would they say Josh did a fantastic job on our floors when it was 50
Of
grit
course.
flooring in Eugene, right? Like, I want credit to go where credit's due. You didn't sand and finish the floor. Eugene did. Like, let's get Eugene the credit. So I agree. Do you have any ideas of how you're going to recruit new people?
Yes, I've already started this. There's a guy here local that I know. He runs some apprenticeship programs, high school apprenticeship programs, and you know, I've already had plans to meet with him twice and had to cancel because of office staff having COVID. I'm like, let's push this off another week until we get this done. But I'm going to volunteer some time to just try to get in front of the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and just let them know my experience of what the trades have done for me. You know, I plan on eventually trying to get in there to help be an instructor on some of the stuff, but early on, I just want to get in front of them
Mm-hmm.
and just give them my experience of what it is. And then I have a brother-in-law that's in the Navy, and he told me he can get me in front of a construction battalion. So I think that would be kind of interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
These are older, not kids. They're in their 20s, like reserves and stuff. So that are already interested in the trades at least.
Yeah.
But I can get in front of them and show them just a quick presentation of what I can do and what I can bring, and give them my interpretation of it. So.
Well, and that's I've seen a lot of companies have success picking up military people, right? They're already used to like a strict regimented schedule. They're not afraid to get dirty, do the hard work. They want the instruction, right? Like that's already been drilled into them, like systems and processes, and we have to think according to these ways. So I think you could be really successful there. The other key thing you said, which I've been making a big point of on the show lately, is you just want to get in front of the kids right now. You want to go to a high school and just get in front of them and talk to them. That's the biggest thing the flooring industry, the tile and stone industries are missing, is the exposure. They don't even know we exist because who's around watching finished trades happen, right? The house is already built. You can't see us. So just getting in front of them and even presenting it as an option, at least they know it's an option. And then if you can get in front of them again and show them some skills, I'm all for it. What I will say is I did an interview, the episode that came out last week is all about getting free government money to get employees for 90 days for free. And so that I think would be really huge for you to be able to work with your local unemployment office or Department of Labor, whoever's running it in Kentucky, and you get these quote unquote at-risk kids, but they're like at risk is, they were raised by a single mom, or they were on, reduced lunch, or they failed the standardized test at some point, right? They're not gangbangers. that they don't have violent criminal histories. They're quote unquote at risk, and they're between the ages of 18 and 24. So you get somebody, the government pays 100% for 90 days. And that's your probationary period, right? You get a 3-month probationary period to try and get this person up to speed and see if they're going to be a good fit for your company. If it doesn't work out, you get to go back to the unemployment office, Department of Labor, and say, I need another one. I need another one. But you're not, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking is that I want to try to open up a revolving door and just bring them in and run them through, see what they got. And if it's for them, then, you know, if I can take them, I'll take them. And if I can't, then I'll find another company local that can need somebody and move them on. I just want to try to get them in the door at least. And the other thing I learned, man, this is so weird. We just started another guy he's been with us about a week, and he's from the framing world. He's a rough framer, and he's 39. And in the first week, he told me, he's like, this is the weirdest job I've ever had because nobody is standing over me yelling at me all day about how dumb I am. And I'm like, it blows my mind that like this guy has gone through his entire life in construction and he's treated basically like a dog, just being yelled at for everything all day. And it's, you know, I'm like, dude, like, it shouldn't have been like that. I'm sorry you went through that, but like, yeah, you're not going to get that. So
it's a sad reality, right? But like, you hang out on Facebook as much as I do, man. You're in the groups. You see what these dudes talk about, right? Like for the long, that was the standard in construction. That was that was the greatest generation, baby boomer, Gen X way of doing things. Yeah. And so starting with millennials, I think we've started to like soften up, and, you know, you get into like the later millennials and the Gen Z kids, and everyone's like, oh, you know, they're snowflakes and like they need their corners to cry in and stuff. And okay, look, do I agree with that stuff? No. All right. But is there a proper way to respectfully talk to someone? 100%. Yes. You don't need to yell and scream at me. You don't need to throw a trowel at me. You don't need to demean me. You don't need to send me to the hardware store on purpose to ask for the long wait or, you know, to get the plank expander. Like, come on, man. You don't need to haze me. Like, treat me with respect, and I'm going to respect you 100 times more and want to like work hard for you and help you grow your business instead of you guys wonder why all your apprentices left? It's because you treated them like an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It's just...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to see that the guy made it that long and never had a decent boss to give him some respect. But, yeah.
Well, but I don't see somebody like that leaving you now, right? Now they found somewhere where they're respected, they're encouraged to succeed, they're given the tools to be able to grow in their career. That's somebody that's going to become very, very loyal and stick around for another 20 years, right? As long as there's advancement opportunities. Maybe he gets burned out on the tools in 10 and he wants to become a salesman or a foreman, or he wants to become like, right? Maybe you're so big by then, you just need somebody to train people and he wants to become the trainer. Like there's so much potential in something like that.
It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. But I like it. I'm looking forward to it, man. That's really, it was kind of weird because my old boss, he's now kind of my business coach, staying on his dad. And he's like, you know, you got to set up goals for next year. And he's like, I advise you to do this and set up this for being financial goals and what you're going to do. I'm like, you know, I think I'd rather like have a main goal of trying to get into apprenticeships and like help younger generation or help the next generation. And he's like, because I think he was thinking all money and everything. And I'm like, no, we still need to make the money. The money has to be there in order to make me be able to do this. But I think this is what my goal is to try to pass on my knowledge and experience through this entity. So,
Well, what Wood Floor Business or Hardwood Floors Magazine put out the annual like survey issue, right? So the average age of a sand and finish guy was 51. So I'm 100% with you. Like, the money's important, right? We can't fund anything without the money.
Right.
And I think setting that financial goal and how you'll get there is important. But the goal that you're trying to set is that I won't be able to continue to meet the financial goal in 10 years if I don't set up this apprentice stuff now, because there won't be anyone to make me the money in 10 years.
So the guy that I already talked to, he even told me, he's like, so you get in front of these kids, and he said they don't have a clue what they're doing yet in life because they're still high school. He said, but he said you'll be surprised at how many of them after 2, 3, 4 years later, they remember you, they remember your name, they remember that you showed up to their class, and at that point they might realize, hey, I need this now, and they come to you then. And he said it's long-term goals, but am I going to need somebody in 2 years? I believe I am. I'm going to have to still
I believe it.
Find more people. So
I 100% believe it. I said the same thing on one of the podcasts, like, a month ago or something like that, where, we were talking, and you need to go get in front of the kids, right? These high school kids. Look, we can all remember being 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. You knew everything. You didn't need no adult to tell you what to do. But if you can get in front of these kids, like Josh said, and you can teach them a skill, they're going to become 19, 20, 21, 22. Their life is going to change. Circumstances are going to change. They're going to need something. They're going to realize they don't know everything. And life gets real serious when you step out. Mom and dad aren't providing everything anymore, and you need a job path or a career, and you got bills to pay. You're going to look back and start thinking about who's somebody that really inspired me, who's somebody that gave me a skill set. And if you were that guy, man, helping out in shop class, I bet you that at least one or two of them, are going to start thinking, oh, Josh, he was super cool, man. I wonder what he's doing. He's got that, what was that? It's that 50 grit flooring, right? Let me call over there and see what they're doing. Maybe he's got a job for me. And even if you don't, I would find them a job and be like, look, I'll let you know in 6 months when I got one. Like, I'll call you back up, right? But it's a long-term investment, and I understand that doesn't fix the installation crisis now. But we're already 20 years, 30 years behind on this thing. You got to get a start somewhere. This is your start, right? So even if it starts turning around in 2 to 4 years that you start bringing people in, if you don't start now, you're going to be 6 years, 7, 8 years down the road that this actually starts working for you. So everybody, it is up to you to go out and fix this issue as the installer. You want people, the manufacturers aren't going to get them for you. The retailers aren't going to get them for you. You want people, go get your own people. That's what I have to say.
I'm with you.
All right, man. You got anything else?
Yeah. So one of the things that I always remember, and it's kind of weird growing up. I remember something my dad told me when I was young, and this is something that kind of led me to all this. And he always said it's not always what you know, but sometimes it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought that when I met my former boss, his name's Matt Blymeister, and even when I was on my own, I was working for him as a sub. I knew that I never wanted to leave him completely. Like, he was always my backup plan. Like, if I don't want to be on my own no more, I can go work for him. So, like, whatever I did, I didn't want to burn any bridges. And that's something, even if you got somebody out there that, you're not getting along with, just separate for a little while. Don't try to think you're something and try to go out with a bang and do this big hurrah thing, and just separate, cool down for a little bit, and then maybe a couple years later you can reapproach them and they're still there for you. I never burnt that relationship with Matt, and instead I built on it because I knew he was successful. And I never really had a reason to burn it either. It's just
Yeah.
he was always there, and it.
Well, and
You know.
I think that's great advice because a lot of like contractors can get hot headed, right? We're quote unquote
Oh
blue,
yeah,
we're blue collar slobs, right? So we're the trash of the industry, and there's stereotypes, right? So you're going to blow up and get in somebody's face, and I see those stories, but when I've seen too many people talk about the corporate world, and once you get into running your own business, like, I'm sorry, you're part of the corporate world. You're not just an installer anymore. You run a business. There's tons of stuff going on. The best way I've heard it explained is that the people you see on the way up, they're going to be there on your way back down. And if you piss them all off as you stepped all over them and shit on them on your way up, they ain't going to help you back up, right? They're going to help push you down as you come down the ladder. So, don't burn the bridges, right? Because if you take care of everybody on your way up and you start slipping, I guarantee you they're going to help elevate you back up.
and it's not only the GCs in the world and the bosses; it's the homeowners too.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of these homeowners that can be complicated, and you're done, and you want to just slam the door on them on your way out. No, you got to take the time, and the best way to do it is just take a couple seconds, like just kind of back away from the situation and just walk away from it. Pick it back up later, And sometimes both sides get hot, and you just need to calm down. But if you leave them with a bad impression of who you really are, then you're not getting a referral from them. And sometimes the most complicated homeowners give the best referrals because you'll get to the next person that they referred you to, and they'll be like, "Oh, you took care of her and she was happy with you. We know you did good." So
yes,
it's on both sides.
100%. I think the other thing you said, right, is it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's a twist on that I really like, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
That would take into place going to the schools and stuff and getting in front of these kids. Sometimes if you can get in front of them and they remember you, then that's what we talked about. Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can know everybody, but if they don't know you, they don't know to send people to you, right? And so I think a lot of times we go out and we try and get in front of as many people as we can, and we're making the connections, and we feel like we're doing good. If you're not following up with the people and you're not building relationships with them and staying, top of mind, you're wasting your time.
You become forgotten.
Correct. And then it doesn't matter because they hear about, a hardwood floor, LVP floor, and they're not thinking 50 grit. You're not even a part of the conversation because you didn't follow up with them. You didn't build a relationship. They're not thinking about you. They hear all the keywords to be able to refer your business, and away it goes, sadly. So as much as you need to know people and you need to take care of them, you need to make sure they remember you. So the building the relationships thing is very, very important. But that's why you can't go to the high school once, and you know this. You're not, and I know you're not going to go to the high school once, right? It's going to be like, how do I get in front of them one time, and then what do I do to get in front of them in 3 months, and then it'll turn into a monthly thing, and then it may turn into a weekly thing. And it may not be you, right? Maybe you partner, like I've mentioned this too. Maybe you partner with other installers in your area, and you all find a way. Like this is my thing, right? I understand it's a lot to ask for installers to go change the world and start finding the new young kids to take over. But what if you partnered with other installers in your area and built out an apprenticeship program, right? Find a carpet guy, find a tile guy, find a hardwood guy, find a LVP guy or sheet vinyl guy, or, the four of you, right? Each one of you decide to give up a Wednesday morning a month, and you go put on an apprenticeship program at the local high school. You're talking a couple hours once a month. You can't find that in your schedule to change your business and possibly recruit talent in 2 to 3 years. Get out of here, man. Come on. That's ridiculous. So, that's it's going to take work, but you got to get in front of them consistently. And that's what we're talking about, right? You got to pour into them so that they'll pour back into you.
Yeah.
All right,
So
Josh, I'm gonna, unless we got one, like anything else we didn't hit on that we should have hit on with this transition or anything like that.
it now it all comes down to the one thing where it's not luck. It's that whole idea of just being prepared for the situation when the situation comes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think I've spent my whole life, or at least the last 20 years, getting to this point, and it all was set up for this. This was what was meant to be. So
I, there is no luck. You create luck. You took more
it's there.
opportunities than anybody else, right? You did the work to get. You had more failures because you took more shots,
It, yep.
but you had
That's
more
it.
successes because you took more shots too. So great advice. I love it. All right, folks. That's going to do it for us this week. Make sure you check out flooracademypod.com. Go to the shop. You can pick up super cool hoodies like a profit is not a dirty word. We got the regular Floor Academy hoodie. We got shirts. We got beanies. It's cold out. You want to cover your head. Stay warm. You can help support the show at patreon.com/Floor Academy. Even $5 a month goes a long way in helping the show to continue producing content. Go subscribe on YouTube. I need 1,000 followers. Josh and I checked it out before we started. I got 138 subscribers. I need 1,000. Can you become one more over on YouTube and subscribe? Give me a couple of watch hours. I'd really appreciate that. And leave a review. I should dig up some of the reviews and read them. Go on I think you can do it on Apple Podcasts for sure. And I think on Stitcher and a couple others, you can leave reviews. Leave a review. Let me know you left it. I'll go dig it up. I'll read it on the show. Just be nice. Don't say nasty things because I can't read that. But I think that'll do it for us. So before we close it out, a word from a sponsor very quickly. It's time to make your plans to travel to Las Vegas with me to hit the show floor at the International Surface event. Our sponsor, Tice, has provided me with an incredible offer for you listeners. You can now register for a free exhibits pass with the code Kyle, that's Kyle, for those of you who just can't even figure out how to spell my name. Registration is open online at www.intlsurfaceevent.com/register. It's all happening in Las Vegas the 31st of January through the 2nd of February, 2023. Plus, don't miss our special podcast episode from December, which will give you the inside scoop on what's happening at the event. Josh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time, especially on short notice. I didn't give you much of a heads up to make this happen, so I appreciate you accommodating me. And I always love having a chat with you and, you helping out the industry, helping me help out the industry. So thank you. All right, folks, That'll do it for us. We'll catch you next time.